Dear family, dear friends, dear honored guests, and dear Beth Torah members, who are really our family. So Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to services at Beth Torah today. And I hope you're finding the experience spiritual and meaningful. So take a moment right now for those in the sanctuary and say Good Shabbos to someone you don't know. There are people here who are guests. Let's give them the warm Beth Torah treatment to make sure that they feel safe and welcome here. Hachnasat orchim is a mamash mitzvah. It's an important mitzvah, and we can do it, and we can do it very well indeed. My friends, I am honored to have the opportunity to offer a brief Dvar Torah today as our Rabbanit Rachel is enjoying her vacation, and deservedly so. She works very, very hard for the shul, and I am glad she has taken some time to be with her family and recharge her batteries. I trust that everyone is appropriately ready to say goodbye to this calendar year of 2021. And let us hope springs eternal, that in 2022 we will be blessed with blessings of health and, please God, restoration of a life that we have been missing for the better part of 2 years. There are parallels to draw from our parsha this week as we reflect on life currently. This portion speaks of the blessings of a father, Jacob, to all of his children and his grandchildren as he ultimately prepares to face his Maker. Today, in fact, marks the end of an era, the end of a chapter, as next week we begin the study of Sefer Shmot. Jacob's general blessing will be ritualized in later Jewish tradition as one of the blessings for the onset of a new week. Quote, "The angel who redeems me from all evil, may he bless the young." As one of my mentors and great teachers, Rabbi Avraham Feder, Zichrono Livracha, says in his book, Torah Through a Zionist Vision, there is a special urgency to Jacob's message because he sees that his sons are more and more ensconced in Egypt. And God's plan is for the light of human redemption to shine forth from Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is the chosen place for the children of Israel to turn back the wilderness of being in Galut, diaspora. And the same is surely true to this very day. Jacob is deeply concerned about his son's loyalty to the covenant. And for me as a man, I can certainly draw a personal parallel to this message when I think about my beloved mother, Dr. Alexandra June Edwards, of blessed memory. She was responsible for creating a traditional Jewish home, and together with my father, the importance of being true to our Jewish roots and ensuring Shabbat was Shabbat and Yom Tov was Yom Tov. And this was instilled in my brothers and I from a very, very early age. We were given a strong Jewish education We went to shul every Shabbat and holiday, said Kiddush before a meal and Birkat Hamazon afterwards. It was simply expected. It was just expected. And it was a way of life. It is said that the mother in the family is responsible for determining the setup and the atmosphere in the home. And that can truthfully be said about my mom. She was a professional too, at a time when it wasn't very popular for females to be a professional doctor. She was a caregiver of young school children, but somehow she would shed that mantra when she lit the Shabbos candles on Friday night, and we sat together with a sparkling table, resplendent with good food. This was her ongoing blessing for her family, and it's a blessing that lives within my being each and every single day of my life. God had other plans for my mother, very sadly. And on the 18th of Tevet, 5753, she was taken from us at such a tender age of 67. In many ways, it was the hardest day of my life to learn of her passing and get on a plane to go back to the UK to bury her and sit Shiva in her house. The feeling of vulnerability, the feeling of mortality was overwhelming, but the experience turned out to be a blessing in time because it truly allowed me to experience the value of a Jewish community who did such a chesed, a kindness, for a Shiva mourner, Shiva mourners. And people came to visit us, even though we had not lived in Newcastle upon Tyne, England, for 16 years. It was at that time that I resolved that even though Judaism and I had turned in completely different directions beforehand, I would return to the traditions of my youth, attend shul every day, to daven and recite the Kaddish prayer in her memory. And the ultimate blessing was the discovery of my gift from God, my voice, and a new direction with my life at the age of 42 years old. Because of my mother, Zichrona Livracha, I decided to study and become a Cantor, which turned out to be a calling from deep within my soul. Recently, as most of you know, I had a chance to feel my belief in God with an extraordinary experience that took place in an operating room at Humber River Hospital just before I was about to undergo a surgery 5 weeks ago. The chief surgeon, Dr. Lazar Klein, knew I was Jewish and a Cantor here at Beth Torah. And the anesthetist had a connection with a cantorial colleague, a friend, who went to school with him at Chat back in the day. Just before the sedation, Dr. Klein came into the room and he began to sing a melody. And that melody is something that ushers in the very beginning of the high holiday season. And this is how it sounds. And I was on the table, and the mask was on my face. It was just before I was about to say bye-bye. But this is what I heard. Ya da 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 da, da 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 da. did this, I immediately relaxed. The mask came over my nose and mouth, and I could feel the sedative go up my arm. I began to sing with him through the mask, and as he began to slip away, I felt totally at peace. Emunah, belief, faith in the Almighty, the ultimate trust that somehow, some way, Hashem will look after you, despite the skeptics that question that belief system. So, as we say goodbye to Sefer Bereshit for this year, remembering the blessings of our patriarch Jacob, a most difficult recent 2021, and for me, the memory of the last 29 years since my mother's passing, we say, Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek, and in doing so, we wish each other strength, renewal, and the best of memories as we go forward with the intent of creating productive and happy moments for ourselves, our families, and our shul, far, far, far into our collective future. Shabbat Shalom.